They say art imitates life, and life imitates art. It's a pretty symbiotic relationship. Factors from the real world inspire various factors from the media we consume. That has always been the case since the dawn of time. But sometimes it doesn't always come out as good, with the intended message doing a quadruple somersault and landing flat on its face. In 2017, that was exactly what happened with one particular anime that tried to use the backdrop of Japan's very real declining birth rate to tell a really bad story that was ultimately a big waste of time. That anime was Love and Lies. Love and Lies is set in the not too far future where the Japanese government, in order to fix their declining birth rate, implement a system that, when a person reaches the age of 16, they are assigned a partner who is said to be their best match based on a bunch of factors and personality. They call this the Yukari system, and it is said to have an almost 100% success rate. And to make things even more serious, it's become illegal to have romantic relationships with people outside your assigned partner, with serious consequences to be had. It's been 40 years since it was implemented and has become the backbone to Japan's society, with a lot of things from societal norms to institutions relying on it. So this sounds like a pretty good premise for a romance anime, right? Sounds like it's going to be a really heartwarming story of learning to love someone and what it means to love someone, right? Well, unfortunately, the premise is the only good thing about Love and Lies. Every other thing is dragged down by the awful pacing, almost non-existent plot, and worst of all, its characters. Well, let's get into it. Love and Lies centers around the walking cardboard cutout, Yukari Nejima, as he's flung into an exhausting love triangle that goes back and forth for 12 whole episodes without really making any real progress. He's been in love with this girl, Misaki Takasaki, since they were in elementary school, which started when he lent her an eraser to which she thanked him for, and ever since then, she's been on his mind, watching her from afar for 5 whole years, even holding on to the eraser all this time. Seeing as he's about to turn 16 and be assigned his government-approved wife, he decides to finally grow a pair and ask Misaki to meet up with him after school, to finally confess his feelings. And surprise surprise, turns out she actually felt the same way too, holding on to the other half of the eraser he gave her for 5 whole years. So that means for 5 years the two of them have had feelings for each other but never tried to approach the other. And this is the day before Yukari turns 16 that they finally do. So in the heat of the moment, they make out, right there in the open, in the middle of the night. Ugh, gross. And just as the clock hits 12 AM, he turns 16. With that comes a notification on his phone. His government notice has come in, and to his big surprise, the name written there is none other than Misaki herself. But something doesn't seem right and the message glitches out. Just then, 2 government officials show up to personally give him a physical copy of his government notice, and the name written there isn't Misaki but someone else. He's clearly confused about it, and the government officials brush it off as him seeing things. Both he and Misaki are super bummed out about it and take their L's, parting way for the night. It doesn't take long before Yukari's parents arrange a meeting with his assigned wife and her parents. This is Ririna Sanada. She's sort of a tsundere. He's clearly not enthusiastic about the whole meeting, and she sees that. The two are able to get some alone time where he airs his woes to her. And her reaction is strange. Rather than feel some kind of annoyance, she's actually smitten by his story, calling it romantic. Her deal is, she's never really felt romantic love and doesn't really understand it, so she doesn't really care for falling in love with Yukari, but hearing his story makes her want to root for him and Misaki to get together. So she comes up with the very fantastic idea to help Yukari get together with Misaki and becomes a go-between for the two, rooting for their love. Man, what a great idea! Surely this won't blow up in her face as the plot progresses. So not long after the two meet, they just happen to coincidentally see Misaki and Ririna approaches her. So can you guess what the two female leads talk about after meeting for the first time ever? That's right, they talk about Yukari. The Bechdel test in the mud, huh? In fact, pretty much anytime they have a conversation, it's gotta have something related to Yukari in some way or form. It gets really tiring. The first couple of episodes are pretty repetitive, with Yukari bouncing between the two girls and conversations involving something along the line of talking about Yukari and/or how he feels about either girl, Misaki in particular. There's a lot of wish fulfillment going on here. Like in one scene, Ririna invites both Misaki and Yukari to her place to hook them up and watch them kiss, claiming she wants to see what a true kiss looks like. But she gets a bit too excited about this. Yeah, she might be into voyeurism but doesn't know that yet. But hey, Yukari doesn't spend all his time with either girl, he's also got a friend. This is Nisaka, arguably the best character in the entire anime. And he's such a great friend. He even kisses his homies goodnight. But yeah, Nisaka has feelings for Yukari too, but he doesn't show a hint of it however. So plot twist, this is actually a love square. Yeah, I see you rolling your eyes over there. How anyone could be thirsting over this bland looking self-insert dumbfounds me. But then again, it happens a lot in isekai, so this isn't anything new. The thing with romance is, it's a genre that is carried by its characters and the drama they go through. If you don't like the characters, you're going to find it hard investing in them and rooting for their eventual success and finding love. And if you absolutely hate them, you root for their downfall. If you want to see a romance where every character is a piece of shit, I'd recommend watching Scum's Wish, which I just so happen to have done a video on a while back, which you can find right here. At least in their case, they were written that way on purpose. And while you hop on that video to check it out, maybe hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for future content. I've got a video on waifus and romance coming up in the not too far future, so if that's something you'd like to see, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you'll be one of the first people to see it. Alright, back to Love and Lies. This anime has some of the worst romance characters I have ever had the displeasure of watching. First, we have Yukari. As our main character, he's the most boring person we have to deal with, and we have to deal with him all the time. He lacks conviction for anything, doesn't know what he wants after 12 episodes, can't make a decision and stick by it, and worst of all, he's a people pleaser that tries to make everyone happy. You may think that last bit doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, it strips him of whatever agency he has as a character, since all he ever wants to do is make people, rather in this case, make the two girls happy without making the other sad, never seeming to understand that in the end he has to make a choice which will hurt the other. It's pretty selfish in my opinion. Even when one of the girls tells him to stick to the other, he goes on to say that he doesn't want that and he wants both of them in his life. And this happens like 4 different times in the anime. It is infuriating. He goes on about how much he loves Misaki every chance he gets, even when he slowly realizes he may be falling for Ririna and she may be falling for him too. He still can't let go of his feelings he has for Misaki. Misaki being the worst character in the entire anime. And that's saying something. The best way to describe the person she is would be, she's Yukari's love interest. Outside that, there really isn't much to her. Any kind of conversation she gets in is related to how much she has feelings for Yukari and how much she has to hide those feelings. In fact, she only ever shows her true self when talking about Yukari. Like, okay, we get it, but who are you though? If you strip away Yukari from her, she's just there. It's honestly kind of sad as she's such a waste of a character. To make things even worse, she doesn't really have chemistry with Yukari. Pretty much anytime they have a conversation, it's something related to feelings and how much they have feelings for each other. If it sounds like I'm repeating myself a lot, well, that's the anime's fault for being so repetitive. At least Ririna has some kind of personality and an actual personal character arc. She gets development outside the love triangle. She starts out as an insufferable tsundere without any friends, trying to understand what love is and why people love. It's only after she gets involved with the love triangle that she finally begins to open up to people and actually make friends outside of Yukari and Misaki. Honestly, watching her grow as her own person was nice, and she isn't all that crazy about Yukari, that is, until she starts having dreams of him. But even then, it doesn't bring her character down to the level of the other two leads. I did find myself rooting for her and Yukari to get together in the end, but then I realized she's way too good for him and she deserves better. In my opinion, she's clearly the superior love interest, even putting in effort to have normal conversations with Yukari and even trying to pick up and understand the things he's interested in. Misaki could never. And then we have Nisaka. I said he was the best character in the anime for good reason too. For starters, he's the only gay character we know of. But he's in the closet, doing his best to keep his feelings from Yukari and pretty much everyone else. His existence alone brings a lot of interesting questions to the table. This is a society that relies heavily on heterosexual relationships. Throughout the anime, we never see any kind of same-sex relationship, which means those must be frowned upon. And you already feel bad for him because you know that the moment he turns 16, he's going to be assigned a partner he isn't attracted to in any way. He knows he won't be able to experience romantic love in some way, and so he hides his feelings and helps Yukari find his. Credit where credit is due, the anime avoids taking the shortcut of making his problems be the fact that he's gay and the struggles he's bound to face. Being gay isn't his personality trait. If not for the fact that he subtly blushes here and there, you'd almost forget he is. He's reserved, mostly keeps to himself, and can be pretty blunt and speaks without a filter. He comes off as cold and distant due to the look he has on his face and the fact that he's almost always seen alone. He's pretty antisocial and seems to have some kind of beef with Misaki. He already has my support. His first response when asked to get involved with any sort of social event is to say no, to which Yukari has to beg him to get into. His whole arc deals with him becoming a lot more social and open, especially to Yukari. Though he doesn't come clean about his feelings for Yukari or the fact that he kissed him that one time. Maybe later in the manga he will, but there's no way I'm going to read that. It's already hard enough dealing with the anime. Love and Lies is just a big ol' nothing burger. And even when something of a plot does kick in, which involves finding out the mystery behind Yukari's first notification that glitched out, the anime just drags on, spending way too much time on a school festival arc that ends with Romeo and Juliet. Misaki playing Romeo and Nisaka playing Juliet. Its awful pacing means we spend a bit too much time with the four main characters, which leads to the supporting cast getting shafted. Despite the fact that they get brief appearances in the OP, they don't really have an actual appearance until like midway into the anime. Even then, they don't really do much except leave breadcrumbs, pun intended, of whatever the anime calls a plot. And before you know it, the anime reaches its last episode. And that ending? God damn that ending. Okay, so get this. After Yukari and Ririna have a heart-to-heart talk about their feelings, Ririna finally makes up her mind to let things go with Yukari, coming up with the plan to get them both out of the assigned marriage so that he can finally be with Misaki. Because Misaki being with him makes her smile, and Ririna wants to protect that smile at all costs because she loves Misaki, platonically of course. Yukari cries, says he doesn't want that, but still wants Ririna by his side. They both love Misaki so much that they would do anything to see her smile, hence why Ririna is going to give up Yukari for her. So the two settle on that and make out for a bit. Yeah, flash forward a few days and Yukari is having a talk with Nisaka, and that's when he realizes that he loves both girls. Nisaka gives him some pep talk and he dramatically runs to meet the two girls who are out doing a wedding dress model shoot. And he shows up, calls them cute, takes a picture with them, and that's the end. Yup, that's the end, with nothing being resolved. Want to find out how it ends? Well, go read the manga. And they were somehow able to drag this out for 200 more chapters, blue balling the fandom. And in case you were wondering who he ends up with in the end, well, he could end up with either girl. The manga splits into two routes, the Ririna route and the Misaki route. For the sake of my sanity, I take the Ririna route as canon. At least they didn't pull his school days and have him get together with both girls, so I guess it's not all that bad. To sort of end this video on some praise, the anime's OP is way too good. It's upbeat, catchy, and a real vibe, a stark contrast to the anime itself. In fact, the OP was the only thing I was looking forward to when loading up the next episode. It was too good for the anime. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. And if you want to see more, consider subscribing. This has been your very favorite slice of bread. Stay toasty.